Well, hey there guys, it's Tim from The Gathering Place, and today we're going to be setting up some swarm traps. Now today I'm really just going to get a box, at least one box ready for the swarm traps. I got 3 of them I'm going to set up over this weekend, but here's the first part, and I'm going to show you what I do here. Here's a box that I made a couple years back. It's just been made out of plywood. It's got a number 1 on it because I actually caught a swarm in this. This was the first box that I caught a swarm. And so what I did is, I made this box. It was an opening here, but I covered this up and I drilled 2, I think 3/4 inch holes here, and I put some screws to keep any birds or anything in there from nesting. And I have some vents here that I got covered up for the time. If it ever gets hot, I got some tape on the side there that you can open up those vents. And I got some frames. And what I'm doing over here is I'm melting some wax, because I'm going to paint a little bit of wax on the inside. I did this last year, and this is from some cone from my previous hive, and some propolis. And so I got some water in there, and it's a lot of dirt. It's kind of dirty wax, but the wax will grow to the top, and I'll just get a paintbrush and just paint a little bit of wax. Because the one thing you want with the swarm trap is you want bees like that swarm. They really like to take habitation in a place that they already known that other bees were already inhabiting. It doesn't matter what caused the bees to either abscond or to die off. They just like the smell of a previous hive. And that's one thing that's great about this box, is it's already caught a swarm last year, and the swarm was in here for maybe a month or 5-6 weeks before I took it off and took out the frames and put them in another box. And I'm going to put it in the same spot. But if you could see, I'm not sure if you can see a little light coating here, but this is from the wax that I had last year. And so I'm going to wait for that wax to melt a little bit and paint a little bit more. I got a jar of just old wax and propolis from when I inspect the hives, and just get a little bit of that. And this is a piece of propolis in that, and I just like to rub it on the sides here. Just try to get any scent you can get that has from previous hives, and it really enhances your chances of catching the swarm. And so I've taken the blower. I had a little DeWalt blower with an air chuck here, and I just blow out the debris. And these are some of the frames I had in here from last year, and I just blow them out, get a little bit of some wax moths and things just to blow out the debris. And what I like to do is, I like to put a few foundations that are full, sort of like on the sides here. And I got the opening right here, and so I just put a super frame right where that opening's at to help the bees come in and out. And I may with just a regular, I got a little frame with a starter strip, and I got some, if you can see the fishing line in there, I got tied and stapled in on the sides. And we've got some staples. I'm trying to see where we're at here. And a starter strip, I put that on the edge, in the end there, and I just fill in some of the starter strips by the opening, and that just allowed the bees some room to come in, for the swarm to come in, and then before they can move over. And one thing that you definitely need that can help you if you have it, if you already got some drawn foundation, and especially the blacker the better. And this will give not only the scent that the bees like of a previous hive, because the darker, the more a hive is alive in the beehive, and the darker the wax get, because the bees are always walking over the wax to take care of the brood and even put the honey and all that, and the more they walk over it, the darker it gets, but even the more scent there is. If you can see up there, there's a dead bee, and I like that because I like to put a few dead bees in here too, because what the dead bees do is just give it gives, obviously it gives a sign to the bees, that the Scots that come to investigate, that were definitely bees in this hive before, and it doesn't seem to deter them, the fact that they're dead. And so that comb really would help out, put it sort of to the center and to the right of where these holes are at, and maybe put one more starter strip at the opening, and that'll give them a nice cavity to be able to come in, and then it can move over, and they'll take residence really on this drawn comb, and it'll give the queen a place to start laying, and then to store a little bit of honey and even some pollen. And so I'll just fill up the rest of this box, and then after I fill it up, I'll put a little bit on the side. What I got a Swarm Commander. I think I left some stuff in the 4-wheeler, but I got Swarm Commander that I use, which I didn't bring with me, but one of the things I have, we'll get back up on top here, is I got some old dead queens that I was able to extract out of some hives I've had for different various reasons. I'm not sure if you could see them in there, but there's 3 dead queens in there in alcohol. Here we go. And you probably can't see it with the sunlight, but I just call it my queen bee little tincture that I put anytime I can extract a dead queen. I put them in here, and the alcohol brings out the pheromones. Let me set this camera back up. Okay, and so it brings out the pheromones, and it helps also give any scent that they're with the pheromones of an old queen, of the queens being in the hive. So anytime if you find a hive that you find a queen that's dead and is still in pretty decent condition, you can start collecting them and put them in alcohol, and it'll extract the pheromones. Now, I think that in itself, I haven't never caught a swarm with that itself. Like the 2 swarms I caught last year were with doing that and with Swarm Commander. But it's just anything extra, anything that can help bring the scent of an old hive that'll attract the scalp bees, that can enhance your chances of catching swarms. And so I'm going to go over and see how the honey's. I'll need to turn it up a little higher. It's not melting as fast as I would like. But overall, and then when I do, before I put the lid on and I screw the lid on it, this is from a chicken feed. You can get it from cat food, any 50-gallon bag that's kind of plastic. And I like to cut these out and put it over top. I'm not sure then. Yeah, I think you can see that. Put it over top, and then I staple them to the sides here. And the reason I do that, it helps keeps the water out. Because sometimes when there's nothing active in here and it sits in the outdoors for any amount of time with the rain and everything, the water can seep in. So this kind of helps to keep the water out a little bit. But overall, that's pretty much the thing, what I've done. And it took me a few years before finally last year I caught 2 swarms, about 300 yards, maybe 400 yards that way, but it was about maybe 300 yards from where I have my apiary. And I do admit that one of them I know was from my own hives. And the first one, though, I don't think it was from one of my hives. It's always possible it was, but I know the second one definitely was, because I saw them swarm up into the persimmons tree, and they was about 30 feet way too high up in the air for me even to get them. And I literally, when I just kept seeing if they were still there, one time I was walking through the garden and I saw them there, and then I went up to the house and I came back down about 25 minutes later, and I noticed the ball of bees up in the tree was gone. And so I got on my four-wheeler and I went driving down to the swarm trap I only noticed there was only 1 or 2 bees flying around it. So I got a little discouraged, that I thought, well, I guess I didn't catch that swarm, my own swarm. But then I stayed there for about another minute or two. Then all of a sudden, bees just started coming left and right. And then I end up, what happened was when I looked and didn't see the ball of bees in the trees, they started swarming towards that hive or my swarm trap. But I ended up beating them there with the four-wheeler. And then I just ended up, I didn't have a camera to film it last year, but I was able to watch them start to literally make a beeline right to the entrance here. And it was pretty exciting because, like I said, I've probably set some swarm traps for quite a few years, and last year was the first time I finally caught a swarm. But I just want to give you a little lowdown of what I do to make the swarm traps. And this is an old box, and it's just designated for swarm traps unless I ever get in a bind where I need extra boxes. And like I said, I try to coat around with wax and propolis, and then right when I'm setting up this trap, and I'll take you to probably either, I think, 2 days from now, I'll put the queen bee lure around it with a Q-tip, and then I'll put all the frames in, and then I'll staple the chicken piece of plastic, and then I'll put the lid on and screw the lid in. First I'll give 1 spray of Swarm Commander on top, and then I'll screw the lid on, and then I'll give a spray of Swarm Commander at the entrance, and then I may refresh it every couple weeks. And I'm excited that the place where I caught the 2 swarms were in the same area. I had, interestingly, 2 walnut trees, and they're about 30 yards apart, and I caught the first one in the first walnut tree, and I caught the second one 30 yards away in a second. And so that shows me that that's a good area that can attract swarms. And so I'm hoping this year at least to catch 1, or if not 2, and I'll take you guys along to see how we do as we're doing our projects and milling up lumber and just doing the things that we're doing around here at the gathering place. But I just thank you for your time now, and hopefully in a few days I'll finish this video by taking you and setting up where I set them up about 300-400 years or years from now, yards from here. But we'll see you then. Okay, and once I get these in, what I like to do is so when you're transporting these things don't shake around with the bees, because it's going to be a little bit of bouncing to get them to where they need to go. I have my jar of propolis and some wax, and I just get little pieces. This does 2 things. First, it adds the scent, because they love the scent of wax and propolis, and then I stick them in here to help secure the frame that they don't shift. And just stick them on each corner, and that's technically should be enough to keep them from moving around when you got to transport these. Get 1 more corner. So if you're ever doing hives, it's great to collect the propolis and all that's like this stuff here, and just scrape it off and excess wax, and always have a jar container ready, especially if you're doing swarm traps, because it just helps. And now this stuff, it doesn't shift, so I like to do that. So I got the telescope lid, so that makes that easy. After this, I would spray the Swarm Commander. I give 1 spray of the Swarm Commander, and then I put the kitten food bag that I cut the size over top, and then staple it before I strap everything down. But I think we're good for this for now. So we can pack it up and take a trip. You can see that smoke over there. That's our neighbors Cody and Sarah. They're doing a controlled burn, and hopefully and prayerfully it'll be successful. But these three trees right here, I got a stand in front of them, and that's where we're going to put our trap. Okay, there's the stand. Here's a Swarm Commander. I just give one spray on top of the frames there. I think that's about it. We're good to go. Now my problem is I got no way to film me putting the box up there. So what I'm going to do is put the box up there. I'm going to put three screws in here to help screw it down, and then I'm going to strap it around the tree and tighten this strap. Alright, and there you go. All I'm going to do is spray a little Swarm Commander. You can see there's already a honeybee checking it out, and that's always a good sign. And I'm just going to do one spray at the entrance, and that's it. And if I don't catch anything in a couple of weeks, I'll come and refreshen the Swarm Commander, and I'll just spray it here. I won't go inside, I'll just spray it right there. And if you can see back in here, I had to put a stick under here to kind of level it out, but I got some screws right here, and that strap makes it pretty tight. And the only other thing I got to do is put a rock on top of this cover so it doesn't blow off. Once again, it's not propolized, but I did not catch a swarm on this swarm trap last year, and if I don't catch one this year, I probably will move it. I may go down, maybe about 400 yards. There's like a cherry tree grove, maybe about 300-400 yards on the left, and I may try that area if this is not successful. But this is the third of 3 swarm traps I'm going to put out, and maybe I'll put a 4th one, I'm not sure. But anyways, I just thought you'd like to join us, and hopefully we'll be updating the progress. If we'll be checking these periodically and seeing how they're doing, and seeing if there's any scots, and hopefully we'll catch some swarms. But I thank you for coming, and may you continue to follow along with us and our other business with me and my wife's brother, my brother-in-law Wayne, Ozark Sawmill Services. Today we're going to be building the forms for our wood drying kiln, so next week we can pour the cement and get things going there. So we got a lot going on, and hope you guys continue to join us. Thanks.